We started, I was one of 17 people, senators, governors. I've had such great support. Dr. Ben Carson the other day endorsed us. And great guy, wonderful man. And Chris Christie endorsed us. That was so incredible. Paul Ryan called me the other day, tremendous call. I spoke with Mitch McConnell today. We had a great conversation. The fact is, we have to bring our party together. We have to bring it together.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very victorious Donald Trump earlier this evening. Welcome back to our continuing live coverage of the Super Tuesday primaries, and we could tell you this right now. We have Donald Trump winning the state of Florida, causing Marco Rubio to drop out of the Republican presidential race. Donald Trump also wins North Carolina, and he wins Illinois. Still up for grabs is Missouri, where with about 99% of the vote counted, Donald Trump maintains a 3,000 vote edge, or 0.4% in that state, which has 52 delegates. On the Democrat side, Hillary wins Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. In Missouri, that's too close to call. Right now, Bernie Sanders with a 2% lead over Hillary. And in Illinois, also too close to call. There, Hillary has about a 2% lead over Bernie Sanders. So that's where we stand right now. As I mentioned, Marco Rubio is out of the race. Before we get to our panel, I wanted, okay, so I don't know, do we have Ted Cruz ready to roll? No. Okay, so let's welcome back Tom Borelli, Dr. Tom Borelli, Ph.D., contributor with Conservative Review, and Jim Hoft, founder of thegatewaypundit.com, an investigative reporter, joins us, and Kyle Harrington, founder of Harrington Capital Management. All right, to the three of you, Tom, let me start with you. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here in Missouri on the Republican side, but any way you look at it, a very good night for Donald Trump.
No, absolutely. It's a very good night for Donald Trump. If it wasn't for John Kasich, it would have been a fantastic night, and it would have been game over in the Republican Party. So now the battle is going to continue, but I think certainly Mr. Trump has the lead. With his speech, you heard him. You had him talking about reaching out to the Republican leaders. He's now trying to unite the party. I would expect soon he's going to start to really go and start hitting Hillary Clinton. So I think he's got his momentum, impressive geographic victories. He's won North, he's won South, he's won East, he's won West. So he's really starting to build all that momentum and drive towards the convention.
Jim, you're out Missouri way, and are you surprised at the closeness of the race? And you're on top of it a lot more so than I am. So what do you think? Will that 0.4% lead or 3,000 vote lead be enough to hold, and Trump will win Missouri as well?
Well, what I'm hearing, Steve, is that once again, the city of St. Louis is notorious for sitting in its vote count in this state. Every election, they're always the last ones to send in the votes, and a lot of times the Democrats get enough votes to surprisingly win an election this way. But it also seems to be Trump's stronghold. So St. Louis County, St. Louis City have still not turned in all their votes. It looks like right now Donald Trump is, how they do this in Missouri is they divide up the delegates. The winner takes 12, then they divide them up for the 8 districts in Missouri, and Trump is ahead in most of those districts, so he should win 5 or 6 of those districts right now. Along with winning the state, he should come out with 30 or 40 delegates from Missouri as of right now.
Out of the 52, yeah. So, Tom, when you take that into consideration, it's not the split down the middle as the vote would indicate. It makes it even a worse night for Ted Cruz, who likes to point to the fact that he's the only person who could beat Donald Trump or has beat Donald Trump. Well, now you got Kasich, although I don't put much stock on any more big wins for Kasich. But certainly Cruz has to be disappointed because, again, Missouri and also North Carolina, 2 states that certainly you would have thought when all this started he would be very strong in.
No, you're right, Steve. And also, going back, he thought he would have been stronger in South Carolina. So certainly a tough night for Mr. Cruz. But his argument going forward is, I'm the only alternative. If you don't want Trump, I'm the only alternative. And now it's up to him to see if he can rally the support of some of his former competitors. Can he get Rand Paul on his team? Can he get Marco Rubio on his team? That's the only way he really could try to really chip away at Trump's lead.
Well, let's welcome in Kyle Harrington, founder of Harrington Capital. Kyle, we've heard from Tom Borelli and Jim Hoft. Your take on the way the night has gone so far on the Republican side?
Listen, I mean, I have to say that I expected Donald Trump to win Florida by the margin that he did. I'm surprised that it was that easy of a win for him. Ohio, I knew it was going to be somewhat of a challenge for Donald, but it's certainly it turned out well there as well for him. I expected Kasich to kind of win his own state, but Rubio dropping out, and you're starting to see now a much narrower race, and you're from an economic perspective and from a Wall Street perspective, from where I sit, the markets are going to start, I think, digesting some of this information. And when they get an idea of who the Republican and Democratic candidate is going to be, the market wants more stability. They want to kind of get a view into the future to see who our candidate's going to be. I continue to say this election in my lifetime is the most important election for the United States.
Yeah,
so,
no, I could not agree more. Jim, let me ask you, I know you've posted a lot of stories about Barack Obama. Recently, he's been out there. I guess I've been asleep, or maybe I've been watching a different Barack Obama. He's been lamenting the fact that the country's divided, that there's been a lot of hate speech, that just because you disagree with someone, you don't marginalize them, you don't hate them, you don't talk ill of them. And this guy is the biggest divider and, in my view, hater. When it comes, whether it's saying Latinos shouldn't vote for their enemies, the Republicans, whether it's I'll bring a gun to a knife fight, whether it's I need to know whose ass to kick. I mean, right on down the line. Then you got Hillary, of course, who talked about her enemies, the Republicans, included along with the NRA and Iran. So they're the champions of this, and now they're feigning. Oh, we're shocked at what's going on the Republican side.
Yeah, it's pretty unrealistic to watch this. Barack Obama's this whole change of his aura about him, and he seems to be a softer side of Barack Obama that we're seeing. Maybe he's trying to look at his legacy and be remembered for someone who was, reaching out and a peaceful man and all this. That's the only explanation, but certainly. He has no room to talk with some of the things he said to Republicans. For instance, I won, or, he said to Boehner that time, and we could go on and on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Tom, it's not surprising because this man, in my view, lies like he breathes. My question to you, Tom, is looking ahead to a general election. And, when it comes to Hillary, again, if she's not indicted, she's going to be the nominee. Does she want Barack Obama out there on the campaign trail? I would imagine she does, to try to get the same Obama coalition, including the black vote, that got him elected twice.
Well, I certainly think she does want Obama's support, and going forward, I think that's the best prescription for her to try to win. But you're right, the FBI is the real competitor here. And going in a general election, if it's Trump, there are no rules anymore. I mean, that could be terrifying for Mrs. Clinton, because Donald Trump is not going to hesitate to go after her, unlike what Romney didn't do to Barack Obama. So it's going to be interesting. The other thing is the black turnout. Black turnout was responsible for Obama in Ohio and in other states. And I don't think, even though she's doing well against Bernie Sanders, I'm not sure if she's such an exciting candidate. What's going to happen to all those Bernie Sanders supporters? Are they going to turn around and then support Grandma? I don't think so.
Well, unless she makes Bernie her VP or Elizabeth Warren, or Bernie just tells them to do it. Let me ask you, Kyle, you mentioned the economics of it in Wall Street, et cetera. We know how gun manufacturers' stock would do under Hillary Clinton. We know how pharmaceuticals would do under Hillary Clinton. How would pharmaceuticals, for instance, because Trump talks a lot about the drug companies. Who do they view as the bigger enemy, Trump or Hillary?
Yeah, it's a good question. I happen to think, and I'm on this pulse day in and day out, and I'm talking to clients and institutions about what they think. And I have to say two things. One, I believe that they, like Donald Trump, the things that he stands for, the fact that he's shaking up D.C., and I don't want to say, I guess you say stirring the pot, but in a good way. I mean, this is exactly what I believe the country needs. I think the pharmaceutical companies, I think the industries throughout the U.S. are looking at this situation in a favorable way with respect to Donald Trump. I think he's starting to get significant momentum, and I think that he would be very, if there's someone that's the candidate that is focused on business and that can do the best for business, manage a balance sheet, manage profitability, get down our debt, it's clearly Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an argument anywhere else.
All right, Kyle, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Jim Hoft and Tom Borelli very, very much. Okay, folks, up next, we're going to take more of your calls because I love talking to you. 877-NEWSMAX. Again, 877-639-7629. Call now. If you're not on hold, call during the commercial break. We'll try to get you on. Again, this is something we do every night on the Steve Malzberg Show at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll keep you up to date on Missouri for the Republicans and the Democrats. Don't go away.